Welcome back, people. This is Don't Sleep on the Couch podcast. I'm your boy, Mr. Prez. And with me always, for real this time.
Yeah, it's your boy Kash, a.k.a. Exec P. I'm back, baby. I'm back. Episode, it's been so long, I forget the number.
I think we 175.
170.
Correct me if
Good
I'm wrong.
Lord.
Sounds
Good
like
Lord.
a good number. I mean,
let's keep that.
It's going to be 175 today. We'll delete last episode if it is. We'll make this 175.
For sure.
Kash, been a minute, man. Looking different in the background. Tell you been busy.
Yeah,
Talk
man.
to us. What's been going on?
Just putting the studio back together, the podcast room, the recording room for music, and just, man cave. So had to do all those different things at once and put together my house. So all my stuff just came. So, man, I'm just settling in. Not where I want to be, but at least the man cave is 85% done. So that's really all that matters, right?
Yeah. Kash, there's a couple people first time seeing your little background and everything on here and everything that's going on, man, because, they ain't been messing with us for the whole 175 episodes. For those people, can you please enlighten them on what it is we do?
Man, this is Don't Sleep on the Couch podcast. If you're here for the first time, welcome. If you're a reoccurring listener, welcome back. We talk about music, sports, entertainment, culture each and every week. This is barbershop banter at its finest. We very seldom check the stats unless it's the Eagles, unless it's the Raiders, Knicks, Yankees. I don't know whatever basketball team he's rooting for this year. And Prez, I think it's the Magic. You know what I mean? Because he's a sucker for his kids, man. But hey, man, you got to applaud a man who's trying to support his kids' poor choices. Shout out to my little man, Ivy. But with that said, man, that's what we talk about each and every week. And before we go any further, we need y'all to like, share, and subscribe. If you listen every week and you haven't done any of those things on any platform, you can catch us anywhere, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can also catch us on YouTube for the video version each and every week. So make sure you share, like, and subscribe, man. You got to tell a friend to tell a friend. That's the only way we'll grow organically.
Hey, man, yeah, and we tried the other way. We was just trying to ignore that little portion and just go ahead on out and produce. But it seems like YouTube trying to punish us, man. They stop around and everything. So go ahead and get us back popping on the algorithm so we can, get to more people, spread, keep this thing going, make it worth it for us actually sitting here and bringing this content to you. So we'll definitely appreciate that. Kash, this week, what do we have on the agenda? It's been a minute. I know it's a lot of, well, really wasn't that much music to come up to. We held, we had a meeting, internal meeting. We got a couple of plans together, for the slow periods now and things that we got in order for the rest of the year. So, but what are people getting this week?
Man, this week we're going to keep it real simple. That dry spell of the sports season is almost over. So, NFL football is back and we'll take it however we want it, man. College game is almost back. So that's something that we're looking forward to, but we're addressing specifically week one. So it's or game one of the preseason in the NFL. We'll be diving into our teams, the Eagles and Raiders, and we may hit you with some other teams there. So y'all stick around for that. Then when we talking music, we're talking about Black Thought, Danger Mouse. They dropped a collab tape that's called Cheat Codes. And of course, we're talking about the game. He just dropped a 30-track project. We have our thoughts on that. And then after that, man, it's going to be kind of a free fall. You know what I mean? Talking about the Drink Champs episode, Irv Gotti and Ashanti. We haven't had a chance to really talk about that, Prez and I, but in the background, but not too much. But I know we got our thoughts on that and just all of the verbal diarrhea that was spewed on that episode, man. And after that, it's whatever we get into. We may go off on a tangent. That's what we known for. So that's a little bit about the show today.
All right. I think we need to go ahead and start with sports again today. You got it at the top of the docket. It is the big thing, man. I'm also happy to have NFL come back around. It's been around 2 weeks now for my Raiders, but 1 week for the rest of the NFL. We done seen a couple teams let some starters play, get a little bit out there. So first quarter play is always interesting to watch. After that, kind of trails off. But Kash, you talking to like a sports star fan. I done got into the AAF. I done got into the XFL.
I don't know
so
how you do it, man.
all of it's good football to me at this point.
Shout out to one of our Patreonies, man. And as well, if y'all haven't subscribed to our Patreon page, www.patreon.com/DSC_podcast. One of our day one guys and fans of the podcast, JB, he does the same thing, Prez. He always sends to the group chat Canadian football stats, and we be like, yo, man, like you're fiending, man. And when you do it, I be thinking the same thing. Like, I'm not about to watch this shit, man. I got plenty other things to watch. I'm not about to watch this, man.
I'll be locked in, man. And then, just my enthusiasm for the Raiders this year got me completely locked in on preseason because, hey, though we done added some key pieces on the Raiders, there's still a couple shaky areas that we kind of got, mostly line, defensive backs, both defensive and offensive line and the defensive backs. And seeing how that's going to play out, getting a little glimpse of what does it look like. I know we ain't getting all the starters, but, what our depth is going to look like because injuries are going to happen. They're bound to happen over the season. So some of these people going to be out there. So see how that goes. Hopefully our line hold up better than it did last year. Last year we started off the season within the first game we had lost pretty much all the starters on the line. We was going with make it up as we go type of deal. So yeah.
So what guys are you on the verge? I mean, of course, this is preseason. You don't have your stars really playing really on your team. There's no really rhyme or reason. I watch your game as well as to, like who the starters, who's in and out. You know what I mean? Your starting running back didn't play in the first official preseason game. So I guess in the Hall of Fame game, you guys saw what you need. And he's kind of, I won't say injury prone, but he's a big part of what you do in terms of kind of really keeping defenses honest, you know what I mean, with all that firepower. So, well, what have you seen in the beginning stages of the team?
Glad you mentioned that because anybody who's a Raiders fan, man, and you watch this team, Josh Jacobs is a big reason that we was in the playoffs last year. I mean, him coming in, he got injured. Yeah, he always get a little injured, but when he came back with a force. He was focused, and his running game is what elevated us in. I mean, Carr had us at the beginning of the season with his passing game. But at the end of the season, it was Josh Jacobs. He's a key part, a key cog to that Raiders offense. And but he didn't get picked up for his fifth-year option. So got Raiders coaches. We got Patriots coaches coming over. Josh McDaniels, he's a new head coach now. They do a lot of running back by committee.
I think that's smart.
Didn't seem like they was all on Jacobs, really. I mean, they can say what they want, but I mean, you had the man playing in the Hall of Fame game. That means like you was kind of shaky on what you were going to get, and you want to know because it was times at the beginning of last year, like he wasn't, really hitting the hole hard and stuff like that. Was that because he didn't play in the early preseason games, or was that because the line was just bad? It looked like it was because the line was just bad because he came out and shined during that Hall of Fame game. And, and then what we realized during that game is our running back room is like deep.
Yes. So that's what I wanted to get into because, being an Eagles fan, like we've had running back by committee for years now. And, you probably have to go back to really Shady McCoy, the last time we had a featured back, and then probably Westbrook before that to where you were like, okay, this is the guy. Deuce Staley as well. You know what I mean? So you had those guys in the late 90s and 2000s, but as of recent years, it's been running back by committee. We got guys that come in there, they do the job, and it's so important nowadays, especially with your lead back getting injured and nicked up and missing I won't say significant parts, but it's just like key stretches to where like you could use his running ability, especially when you're going up against the AFC West, which is going to be a dogfight. So you got to have those weapons available for those games, But to have a deep running back core, man, it has to happen, man. So if y'all could spare him and just let him be fresh towards the end of the year, going into the playoffs, and then you kind of wean off on that, and then you feature him. I think that's the plan. He's gonna have to sacrifice some touches, but he got to know it's for the betterment of him. And if he shines and y'all make a deep playoff run, then he gets paid.
Yeah, but he ain't gonna get paid with us. I can guarantee you.
No, I don't think so.
After seeing that running back room, nah, bro, we ain't paying you.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think he got to get paid somewhere. Somebody's gonna pay him. Somebody's gonna pay him.
Unless he's gonna settle for like a team-friendly deal, man, or we win the Super Bowl, I can see them bringing him back just because, like, hey, we made the Super Bowl, we got extra money sitting around. But other than that, like, man, Jacobs, I'm pretty sure this is gonna be the last year. Zamir White looking good. They picked up Amir Abdullah, who I thought was just gonna be, a camp body, just being there, and then move him on. But like, he didn't play in our week 2 really game versus the Vikings, which tell me he didn't kind of solidify his spot. You had Brandon Bolden, who's like haven't been playing. You got our fullback who ain't really playing. So those guys are solidified. You didn't have Josh Jacobs playing this week, but you had Zeus, Zamir White, and Kenyon Drake being featured pretty heavily this week. So I don't think they have secured their role in it, but I think Zamir White has. I mean, he was a high draft pick for us, but he's still a rookie. He's not going to be in that starting role. So just give him time in the preseason so he can get better, right?
Right.
So yeah, man, that was looking good. We got a wide receiver who's going to be our wide receiver 3. Ain't really like that's too much of a role. I mean, we got Waller, got Renfro.
Well, that
we got Waller, we got Renfro, we got Josh Jacobs. Man, we got weapons. I mean, we just being greedy here by whoever's going to be the wide receiver number. Wide receiver 3, but really going to be filling that wide receiver 2 role over there. And we can kind of plug somebody in over there. That's not really needed. Offensive line, man, has just looked at. We still ain't got nothing on that left side.
Y'all still don't look good on that line, man.
And the left side ain't looking good, man. In our first week, we got to go up against Bosa and Khalil Mack, and I'm just nervous for Carr. I feel like if we don't get that figured out, man, he may be out week 1. When he finally get his weapons, and he just get taken out by Khalil Mack.
He better turn into Tom Brady. Tom Brady get rid of that ball quick. You know what I mean? They got to start with them hitches to keep them honest, and then your running back has to run the ball well. But like starting out with Bosa and Mack, like that's tall order, man. Like, you know what I mean? So that play calling has to be on point, and then I think they soften him up, but he's gonna have to get rid of it quickly. Ain't gonna be no time.
Yeah, and then our DBs, it's looking like the DB depth. Well, our starting DBs are all injured, right? So hopefully it's not really nothing serious, but they ain't really got to give us an injury report during preseason. So we don't really know. They just ain't attending practice and they're not going to the game. So how bad are the injuries? I hope they're not serious. I hope everybody's out there week 1 and we still look good, because if we got to go with what they've been putting out there in the preseason game, it's going to be. Yeah, all these new pieces we got over here.
Your offense going to have to be your defense, too. Long possessions.
Man, like you were saying, this AFC West, and I was hoping that Kansas City was going to take a little falter on that, man. But seeing they little first couple drives, bro, they ain't about to
look like they ain't miss a step. Like they just call somebody else up, and you like, who is this guy, man? Like, you know what I mean? Like they just draft really well. And then again, man, with you having the 3rd best quarterback in your own division, you know what I mean? It's gonna be tough, bro. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
And then you're saying 3rd best quarterback. Who you putting us above? Russ? Herbert?
Yeah. Russ, Herbert. Oh, no, you don't have the 3rd best. It's 4th, actually. Probably say Herbert. Herbert's
well, we're going to see. We're going to see, man. Because right now, if y'all don't know what's going on in the NFL, they doing the top 100. Derek Carr landed at 65. But, yeah, none of those other quarterbacks have been. No, I think he above Russ. I think Russ was mentioned. I don't know.
He ain't above Russ, man. I know you be talking cash money if Russ was a Raider. You be talking cash. You be so much more of a pompous asshole than you display on this podcast. You know what I mean?
Hey, you know Russ. Like I know it. Joking about it with the Let's Ride and all this other little stuff, but he's bringing some type of like new identity, fresh, like to the Broncos, and that part you got to appreciate. You got to see like the leadership. Everybody's joking about it, but I mean, it's catching on.
People love the shucks kind of guys. You know what I mean? The guys that after a while, man, they either wear on you in a negative way or you like, man, this dude, he just wants to win it, and you just allow it, even if you think he kind of corny. You know what I mean? Especially if he out there busting your ass on a practice field, you got no choice. You got no choice but to follow him. You know what I mean? And you know, speaking of guys, you got no choice to follow. How about that Jalen Hurts, man? 6 for 6, 80 yards, strong drive. You know, he balled out, man.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. First preseason game, still kind of lacking in the main area that I kind of see for Jalen Hurts, and I want to see him improve, was just attacking the middle of the field. Mm-hmm. And he still didn't do too much of that. We'll see how it goes, keep going throughout the preseason. But I just feel like he's going to excel on some teams just because they ain't got the talent and stuff like around it. But if he go up against the right defensive coordinator who can kind of scheme against that and kind of make him
exactly.
Take those inside shots, it's going to be a struggle. And I want to see him evolve.
Has he gotten better? Has he gotten better? No, I'm not saying that. Has he gotten better? Only way you could judge if he's gotten better if he's able to step up in the pocket and take those throws that are there when he has to do that and navigate the middle of the field. There was nothing that the Jets defense wasn't really a true test. The time you're only going to see that is against proven winners. Like last year, anybody with a winning record that made the playoffs, we did not beat. Got to the playoffs and lost. You know what I mean? Raiders included, whatever. Raiders included. But what I'm saying is, like, in order to take the next step and for anybody in Philly to truly believe that he's the guy with all these weapons around him, he has to connect. Now, they have to be advanced with that play calling to be able to give him open looks as well. You know what I mean? So if he's not there to be able to step up in the pocket in the middle, then it has to get a little bit more exotic than that to give him easy dump offs. So you saw that with Miles Sanders. So that's how the first drive looked. He looked excellent. So it was easy to get him up out of there, man. You know, Miles Sanders didn't really have a whole lot. Goddard looked like he's going to take the leap. And I think that if Goddard would have started the full season and then have Zach Ertz there, he probably would have been a Pro Bowler. And if not probably, he would have been a Pro Bowler. So A.J. Brown, that one touchdown where he cleared out that whole entire side, man, Goddard, Brown, or Goddard and Smith on either side is going to cause, you're going to have to make some business decisions this year. You know what I mean? So I'm not so sure that the middle of the field is necessarily not going to be wide open for a lot of the times, because that's a matchup nightmare no matter what side you go on. So now it leaves me with, who's the fourth guy? Who's going to clean up? You know what I mean? Who's going to be the fourth guy on offense? So I don't know, man. But I'm hoping that Miles Sanders does well and he stays healthy this year. I mean, we still got Kenneth Gainwell coming back, Boston Scott. I think those will be your three running backs. But we had the young boy out there, Huntley. I was like, who is this dude, out there? So he was running like his life depended on it. And he got the majority of the snaps in the second quarter and ran really, really well, you know what I mean, with the backups in there. So who's to say he can't, crack in and kind of be one of those guys that's on the practice squad and ready to call up. I wouldn't be mad at that. You know what I mean? So overall, man, defense looked well. First half. I mean, after that, I kind of tuned out and then all the scrubs were in, just like everybody else does. But it was good to see, the starters and the subs out there and them Georgia boys, man. Them Georgia boys, Frank. Yeah. He was out there balling. Nakobe Dean was out there balling. And I could just tell, man, he's looking to take somebody's spot. So, I like that linebacking core is going to be super competitive to where you don't want to come off the field, because if you're not playing well, you're going to lose your slot to these young boys. And, I think that they didn't start just to show some respect to the starters and the guys that have been there. But I think before this season's up, both of them will be starting. You know what I mean? They're just too good. They're just too good.
My sneaky peek on that team, man, Kash Watkins.
Yes. Man. Yeah, he's going to be the benefactor.
The way he going up there, just grabbing the balls, taking advantage of the shots that he's going to get, just because like A.J. Brown and
Goddard.
No. Smith, yeah, Devontae.
Yeah, he wasn't even playing, so I'm not. When we haven't seen all three of them on the field yet, you know what I mean? So when we see it, man, it's going to be a sight to behold, because we moved that ball with ease. Again, it's the Jets, not, I'm not getting too high, too low. It's preseason, but I like how when teams come out looking crisp, like they really practice that first drive, like it's a real game. You know what I mean? Typically, when you come out there in preseason Prez, it'll be like, 3.5. I mean, it'll be about 6 plays, but then you get out. That don't ever feel good because then the starters get out and you don't have nothing to really talk about that very next week. You know what I mean? But when the drive come out and they look efficient, they're hitting the hole really hard as far as the running backs and they look like they seem to be playing really hard, then you kind of get a little bit of encouragement and some shit talking, going into the season. Like both our teams this year should win the division and or get in the playoffs.
This is why we all gonna think we experts. I'm gonna say, I got your fantasy football sleeping, man. Be watching out for this guy, man. But y'all also started something else in that game, man. Starters was finally coming out on these first couple games, but I think they're gonna go back into hiding after what happened to the quarterback on the other team during that game. Zach Wilson, having a non-contact little injury. It looked pretty bad. I thought it was ACL right off the jump. But they saying that it's just like a sprain and he's going to be okay. But I mean, because
he tore his PCL. Was it last year? At some point, and missed a couple games.
He was injured for a minute. I couldn't remember what he injured. But I mean,
he could go.
It was just like giving me, just reminiscent of just like that's how your quarterback McNabb kind of went out, right? With the Eagles and stuff like this, off one of those non-contact injuries, and I know just how nasty those things can be. So glad that he's okay, but I think the other team seeing that type of injury, they're going to shield their star quarterbacks a little bit more. They're not going to put them out there in danger in these preseason games. So unfortunately, I think we're going to get even less of like the starters this next week, but.
Hey, I'm cool. I'm cool with that.
It's still
better
than XFL and better than AFF football. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, that's for sure, man. But yeah, man, that's a little bit about that, man. Did you watch any other games? Anybody else turn your head before we kind of go into a little bit of the Irv Gotti and Ashanti stuff and some music?
Man, I was watching all of it, man. I'm excited for the season. It just seems like the talent overall on all the teams got better, even for the teams that you think was just like diminished. It seems like they got the right pieces in to replace them. Talking about Tennessee Titans, who y'all traded with for AJ Brown, but Trayvon Burks, Traylon, what's his name? I can't say his name. Well, I thought he looked good. He showed a promising little future. Everybody was looking halfway decent. I think the competition around the NFL has kind of elevated. And I think it's got a lot to do with how the game has been played now with, stretching the field. And last year's draft was just a hell of a draft for receivers and, all these key true athletic positions from, the leftovers from COVID. So,
who looked terrible? Draft. Look terrible. The Panthers, both their quarterbacks look bad. Who else? I was watching a little bit of Cleveland. I was watching a little bit of.
Oh man, he looked at rusty.
Yeah, he did. He looked bad. But I mean, it's to be expected, man. He's been 2
years off from the game.
Yeah, it's to be expected. And but yeah, man. Again, Cincinnati. I'm looking forward to those guys. I mean, being bottom dwellers for all these years, but now having that swagger back and just, all their guys back and with more experience. So it's gonna be a fun time.
Man, those quarterback battles, like the new young quarterback battles, like Kenny Pickett with Pittsburgh, like how the crowd just got into it. He hit that last second drive to kind of win noise against like fourth string, whatever. But he looked good, and I think he's going to be knocking at the door to get in there. And they leave him an opening. You have something similar that happened like Herbert, where he got to get in game 2, 3. I don't think he's giving that spot back no more.
And that's the thing. Mike Tomlin, with
Tennessee Titans too.
A Mike Tomlin coach team, no matter. I mean that the North is stacked. You know what I mean? Like outside of the Steelers, they might be down this year. You know what I mean? But you never can count out a Mike Tomlin coach team. You know what I mean? They may play great team ball as a result of this. You know what I mean? And if you really can't account for who their quarterback is going to be right now in terms of just as opposed to the competition in the AFC North. So that's all I'm saying is I think this would be a down year for Pittsburgh, but you just never know, man. Those guys always find themselves scratching around, sniffing the playoffs, or just making it awfully tough for certain teams to get in the playoffs. So we'll see.